Imagine you built a house in the earliest version of Minecraft, but never abandoned it, bringing it with you through every single update, upgrading it with every new feature the game added. Well, I sort of already did that, but there's one problem. This build? It's a giant creative build, purely aesthetic, no interior and no survival functionality. So this time, I'm doing it properly. Unlocking new features with every version, incorporating them as aesthetic and functional upgrades to my build. The result? The ultimate survival base. So, this is pre-classic, the first known version of Cave Game. Yep, not Minecraft. Back then it was known as Cave Game. And this is really the bare bones of what Minecraft has become. Starting as a barren stretch of cobblestone with texturing that hurts your eyeballs, each little update to pre-classic saw the devs inching closer towards the game we all know and love. Introducing some staples like grass blocks, and of course our good friend Steve frolicking all over the place. He looks a bit in distress, to be honest. Steve, are you okay? Do you need a minute? Maybe he's yearning for the mines.
I yearned for the mines.
But pre-classic is mostly very basic. No ores or trees, no infinite world generation, no hotbar, not even any mobs or survival mode. So what can we do? Well, we can build, but even that feels cursed, because everything's backwards. It's not even right click to place blocks, that destroys stuff. It's the opposite around. So if I want to place blocks, I have to left click. And now that I've destroyed this grass block, I can't even replace it. There isn't a grass block to place down. Before I destroy anything else, I think it's time I build my first base. Yeah, I think that does it. Now take in this masterpiece before it's gone, because it's going to look a whole lot different in 1.21 after I've transformed it more than 20 times. Let's boot up the next update and unlock some new features. I'm now in classic Minecraft, and there are a lot of fundamentals added to the game. Ores, although there's still no diamond, water and lava, trees, new blocks, the first ever mobs, and even survival mode. I've got everything I need here to make an actual house instead of just a cobblestone cube. So let's do it. Okay, so this is our upgrade for the classic version of Minecraft. Things are looking a bit more like a house. We've actually got a roof this time, we've got different coloured walls, and we've also got a hotbar, which has been very helpful. And yeah, I think we've done a pretty good job. I've made the most of what we can do anyway. There are no doors. It's got an interior, and a fantastic interior, I must say. We've got a wonderful library here. An anvil. That's definitely an anvil, yeah. There's not even a crafting table. Gotta make do. We've got a fireplace to keep us nice and cozy. This staircase which leads to the second floor. Look at the bed. The bed looks fantastic there. Yeah, there's no torches, there's pretty much nothing in the game, but I think we've done a decent job considering. Especially considering how buggy this version is. I mean, for starters, if I actually just place these flowers here underneath this little overhang, they just start disappearing. So you can't actually use them to decorate if they're underneath a block. They need to be visible to the sky, hence why I've put them out the front here and made this lovely little pathway to the house. Grass blocks work the same way, so we've got this lovely dirt border around the entire house. There's only one type of slab in this version, that is the stone slab, and you can't place it on the top side of a block, it only goes on the bottom side. Every time I click to place blocks or click to delete blocks, it will sometimes randomly place multiple or delete multiple blocks at the same time. It's been a bit of a nightmare, that's for sure. But we have a chimney, so, you know, there's that. Okay, considering everything, I think we've done a pretty good job. Let's jump up to the next version. Yeah, so Indev isn't actually available in the Minecraft launcher, but it did add a bunch of vital additions. Infdev and Alpha saw some major milestones in the game, from mining to crafting, creepers, and even
the Nether.
But with Indev inaccessible and the next two versions limited to survival mode, we're going to skip to beta to build an upgrade with all these additions in mind. And now I'm in beta, I've also unlocked all these new blocks and features too, so I'd better get cracking. I first had to start by rebuilding my house from the classic version. Oi! Shush you. because worlds didn't save between updates in these early versions. And now it's finally time for the new upgrades. Right, here's our beta survival base, and I've made a ton of upgrades. Stating the obvious, we've extended the house with new rooms and balconies, switched up the block palette with sandstone, and added extra detailing with gates and pressure plates. Inside, the extensions I made gave way more space to work with, so we have a proper area for crafting. And of course, as we go through these updates, I'll be able to return to these areas to add new additions and eventually create dedicated rooms for every function of the base. And the latest updates allowed me to make some important changes to the basics of the base too. We've now got glass panes instead of glass blocks in the windows, torches for lighting, ladders to reach the second floor, where we have a tiny bedroom, and even paintings for decoration. I feel like these are all things I take for granted now, but you really notice when you can't use them. Storage is still basic, it's basically just some shelves with some chests, but for now, it does the job. Music discs and the jukebox were added in alpha, so I also just whacked them here for now. And while we don't have enchanting yet, I'm saving room for an enchanting setup once we unlock it. Oh, and one last thing. I upgraded the fireplace using nether materials. And with flint and steel, we can finally light it up and make the room feel warm and cozy. Luckily, I swapped some of the house materials over to sandstone and brick, otherwise the whole place could have burned down. Crisis averted. Okay, yeah, maybe I should have got rid of the wood that was next to the fireplace. Okay, fire crisis semi-averted. Anyway, if we head out front, I've added our first farm. Wheat was actually added back in Indev, sugarcanes and pumpkins in alpha, and watermelons were introduced in beta, so I thought I'd whip up a cute little farm that brings them all together. Another new practical block we unlocked is the furnace, so I decided to build a small outdoor smelter for all the ores we'll mine. Coming down the hillside, I've built a dock, because boats were added in alpha. Now we can grab a fishing rod and head out onto the open water. Whoa, random spinning. What's going on? What's happening? It's a bit impractical since you have to break the boat to get out. But hey, that's just how it was back in 2009. To the left of the house, we've got an animal pen. And this was pretty fun to make, because in beta Minecraft, you can't actually lure animals. No leads, seeds didn't work, nothing. The only way was to improvise, and let's just say those fishing rods came in handy. Anyway, heading further down the mountain, we find the mine entrance. This is worth making because of some cool new additions, minecarts, and the first hints of redstone. Oh, hello there. No, let me through. Please. Regular minecarts were added in Indev, but Alpha gave us chest and powered minecarts, which let you haul supplies or have a redstone powered minecart system without you having to actually do anything. Of course though, just like boats, you've got to break the minecart to get out of it, so it's a bit impractical. But hey, at least we got them. At the bottom of the shaft, I've excavated a little area because I reached a nice diamond hotspot. So this is the perfect starter mine. And as we keep upgrading through each version, we'll be coming back here to expand it. And of course, no survival base is complete without a nether portal. I built one just over here, surrounded by rubble and debris, and it's not much right now, but this will definitely change a lot by the time we're done with the upgrades. With that, beta is done. Let's load up the next update and unlock more features. Before we tackle the next update, a big thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, and better yet, it's totally free on PC, console, and even mobile. With over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships at your fingertips, you can battle your way. Fancy raining fiery doom from above in a dogfight? Or storming the beaches in a warship? Or why not try both? There are no limits. But War Thunder isn't just bold, it's detailed. And that's its standout feature for me. From stunning, in-depth customization, to a damage model that literally pinpoints precisely where shells have penetrated a vehicle, all the way to sound design that'll convince your neighbours you've parked a tank in your living room. So why not join forces with over 95 million players worldwide and battle it out in PvP today? Play for free on PC, console, or mobile using the links in my pinned comment or description below. New players and those inactive for 6 months will get a massive bonus pack for PC and console with several premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 silver lions, 7 days of premium account and more. And it's all for a limited time, so claim it fast. Okay, so this is 1.0, aka the Adventure Update, and the first official release of Minecraft. We finally unlocked brewing and enchanting, the end, you can now breed animals, and tons more. This definitely calls for new rooms and renovations. So, let's go. Right, here it is. Technically our first official Minecraft base. Starting with the obvious changes, I built an extension up top and we've actually got another extension out back. I'm trying not to get too carried away with each upgrade and peak too soon. Once I unlock World Edit in version 1.7, I'm not going to be able to resist making big changes. Heading inside, the jukebox has had a minor upgrade since we've just unlocked a bunch more music discs. The kitchen has been expanded with a cooker, work surface, a sink, and of course a shiny new brewing stand. Potions are still pretty limited right now, so I thought it makes sense to include it in the kitchen, but eventually I'll create a dedicated brewing room. Speaking of dedicated rooms, we finally unlocked the end. Now obviously that doesn't change much in terms of functionality I could add to the base, but I thought it'd be cool to add an end themed room, almost like a mini museum that you can fill with all the things you collect from your adventures in the end. I am designing this with you guys in mind after all, since the idea is to create the ultimate base that you can play in. Anyway, heading upstairs, there's now an enchanting area with bookshelves. It's pretty basic, but I'm envisioning a proper Wizard's Tower style room in the future. Back in older versions, you had to arrange the bookshelves in a strict format, but in newer versions you just need 15 nearby, so that's changed a bit. Outside, we've still got a little animal pen, but now we've unlocked breeding. Thankfully, I was able to lure the cow back with some wheat this time, so I didn't have to resort to the trusty fishing rod technique. I also made a quick stop at my nether portal during this upgrade. I added some nether wart around the portal, just a little extra decoration to make it feel like the nether is spilling through the portal into the overworld. And I've also expanded the rubble platform a little bit and framed the portal with nether brick blocks. And last but not least, I threw down some lily pads by the dock to jazz it up a little bit, and built a custom little mushroom island with the new blocks we just unlocked. I say that, but funnily enough, mushroom blocks are still locked. The only way is to place small mushrooms, bone meal them, and grow the large versions. And I would have loved to have put a little moo bloom on this island, but since there are no spawn eggs or commands yet, that'll have to wait for a future update. But you know what? We're getting somewhere. And the last major feature of this update is hardcore mode. Now obviously, I'm in creative right now, but I like a challenge. Comment if you guys want to see me upgrade through every update in hardcore. Otherwise, I think we're done with this upgrade, so let's boot up the next version. Wait. Is this it? What am I meant to do with this? Okay. So what I thought was going to be a very simple update, with just the spawn eggs and some game mechanic tweaks being all we unlocked with this update, well, I got a bit carried away. Because spawn eggs were added, I decided to expand on the animal pens. I've split them up and given each their own space. We've got a pig pen out back with a little baby pig, a simple pen for the cows, a sheep pen with a small leaf canopy, and a tiny chicken coop for the chickens. And those of you watching carefully may have seen that wolves were added in beta, but I could finally spawn one in with an egg, so I built him a small doghouse just out front of the main house. And I've named him Bolt. He's got a little sign on his kennel, but I'll have to wait to unlock name tags to officially name him. On top of that, our mushroom island hasn't stayed empty for long. Well, I say that. I've spawned in mushrooms, but they've all left the island. They seem to prefer hanging out in the water instead of the mushroom island I lovingly made for them. Simple update, simple upgrades. It's time to load up 1.2. Right, so this update unlocks a few new features. Jungle biomes, cats, iron golems, mineshaft generation updates, and a fair few quality of life changes that should make it a little easier for me to build as well. So let's see what I can come up with. Okay, we have upgrades. I've gone in with another extension, and I've got to say, there are a couple of features in this update which have saved me from descending into madness. For starters, we can now place stairs and slabs upside down. I've gone around the house and added them where possible. It's still a little awkward. Instead of placing them on the top side of a block like in newer versions, you have to place them on the underside, but it's still miles better than before. Being able to add finer details inspired me to do a bit of texturing as well, so I created some subtle gradients and sun bleaching the wood. Another huge functional improvement is the pick block feature. Absolute lifesaver. Before this, every time I wanted to swap a block, I had to open my inventory, remove the block I didn't want, and find the new one that I wanted, and so on. Especially annoying when my inventory is full. Now I can just look at a block and middle click it to add it to my hotbar. Definitely took that for granted. Inside, things have been rearranged a little thanks to the new extension. While I didn't really find a nice spot for any jungle wood yet, I did incorporate some of the new block types. We've also got redstone lamps now, though they work oddly. Sometimes placing the redstone torch on top of the block causes it to flick off immediately, but placing a redstone torch to the side of it or directly underneath it works perfectly fine. I'll replace more torches with lamps in the future, but for now, this'll do. I also built a nicer crafting area, complete with picture frame and the jukebox tucked in the corner. We've got a little cat tree since we just unlocked ocelots. My ungrateful cat did immediately escape outside, but hey, the option's there. Get off the kitchen sink. Oh, you're actually using the cat tree briefly. No, not into the fire. This is why we have this thing turned off. Okay, every time I filmed this before, he ran straight outside. Now he just wants to jump all over the kitchen counter. Oh, there he goes. Eventually, I reckon I'll make an entire room just for pets, which you guys will be able to add to when you play yourselves. Upstairs, the enchanting room has expanded slightly. We've made a bit better use of the space. Above that, we now have a proper storage room, complete with multiple shelves and a cheeky little bay window view. Before, it was just one shelf. Now, we're moving up in the world. Finally, I returned to the mines. I added support beams all the way down, expanded the crafting and smelting areas, and added some more storage alongside the minecarts. There are new tunnel systems branching off, some blocks because of caves and lava pools, but one path actually led into a cave. And just above it, I stumbled into a naturally generated abandoned mineshaft. Perfect timing, since this version introduced some changes to how they generate. Plus, it even connects into a ravine. Oddly enough, I haven't seen the new wooden bridges Mojang mentioned in the changelogs for this version, but it's still a great find and gives us plenty to play with for future upgrades. So that's 1.2, a nice mixture of quality of life features, structural updates, and even a new pet. Next up, 1.3. Excuse me, sir, can I help you? You're invading my humble abode. Now, to be honest, this update is a pretty small one. There are a few new wooden blocks and some features like trading and tripwires, but maybe once I get going, I'll get a better idea of what upgrades I can make to the base. Okay, so as expected, our upgrades for 1.3 have mostly been a house extension, but it was much needed. Things are starting to feel cramped, so this gave us some breathing room. The house is getting quite tall though, so in a future update I may expand sideways, maybe even bridge to a separate building, just so I don't have to keep reconfiguring everything over and over. One of the new features this version introduced was the ability to rotate logs. I've taken full advantage of that, especially on the roof, and honestly I think it makes a pretty big difference. Heading inside, I've started making each area more defined so eventually every feature will have its own proper room. Storage, enchanting, brewing, etc. The cat tree has been flipped and repositioned to fit the new layout. The crafting area has been expanded slightly, nothing major, but it uses the space better. The jukebox has been moved upstairs to the old bedroom. The kitchen now has some upside down slabs so we can have some extra storage. And eventually I'll add a fridge and more cupboards, but this works for now. The brewing room and mini armory are unchanged, but they'll get an upgrade later for sure. The end room has had some adjustments because the chimney had to be reconfigured. More importantly, I added the ender chest, temporarily for demonstration. I don't plan on leaving it here in the final world, otherwise I'm giving you guys an unfair advantage. Oh, and the fireplace is still unlit because I'm waiting until campfires are added. And I'd rather not burn the house down. One close call was enough for today. And then a quick sweep of upstairs. We've got a new room, the start to our villager trading area, tucked into the attic. It's small for now, but will expand later. The enchanting room has been updated to account for the new system where 15 bookshelves guarantee max level enchants. Layout wise, it's mostly just reconfigured. I've also built a balcony and bay window with a sign banister instead of fences for a bit of variety. The storage room connects here too, though it's lost a bit of space because of the staircase. Got big plans for storage eventually, so that's okay for now. Finally, the bedroom is at the very top. Much better than the old platform with a bed setup we had. We've got a desk, some storage, an alarm clock, and redstone lamps in the ceiling. It definitely feels more cozy now. But what about the book and tripwire hooks? Well, without lecterns or item frames, a book and quill's not that useful yet. And as for the tripwire, I thought I'd save them for the redstone update. Once we unlock redstone, I can actually work on some cool features like an automated farm system. Maybe even some booby traps to defend our base from intruders. Let's see. But for now, let's boot up 1.4. Ooh, spooky. The pretty scary update. This is a big one for new hostile mobs, but there's a whole lot more than that. Placeable heads, walls, item frames, anvils, pots, to name a few. Let's get on with it. Alright, what upgrades have we got here? On the side of the house, I built a small extension for future expansion. Now that we've unlocked player heads, I've started experimenting with them for decoration. I've lined some along the roof, and if we head inside, we've even got Jack Black's beautiful head above the fireplace. Just trying to find creative ways to use them without it feeling too out of place. Steve's head is the exception. He doesn't look out of place anywhere. New blocks meant we also unlocked the anvil, so I placed one next to the crafting area. We're slowly but surely moving towards a full-on crafting / smelting / forging space. The brewing station has been slightly expanded with the new potions, and the kitchen has had an upgrade with more cupboards, some extra storage, and a fridge. Sure, it's just iron blocks and doesn't open, but hey, it looks the part. Oh, and another massive feature we unlocked, item frames. I made a grandfather clock to display the old clock item and wanted to make a map table, but unfortunately, item frames only go up on walls right now. Still, in future updates, I can see this turning into a full-on map table setup of the entire base and surrounding area. Outdoors, I've moved the farm out back and replaced the old plot with a flower bed, and I found a spot to use the new flower pots. It felt like the right time to finally expand the farm since we hadn't touched it since basically the first version of the game, and with potatoes and carrots added, it just made sense. Now this isn't the most practical farm in the world, but I've started stacking the fields down the hillside in a sort of tiered effect. Eventually this will be a full-fledged mountainside farm. We're just going to need to wait until I build a bigger mountain. I've also tweaked the outdoor smelter with the new cobblestone walls, plus a little nether brick chimney as an exhaust. Speaking of walls, I've added them into the pens and even built into the main chimney. These details alone are gradually making this base feel better and better. Also, we have a firework launching platform on the roof. Right now, fireworks don't really show particles properly, but the idea is that later we'll be able to use this as an elytra launch pad. Oh, and one last thing, we've also got a beacon, though this is just a placeholder for now. I've got to say, looking at this reminds me how different old diamond texture looks. It almost looks like ice. Anyway, eventually I want to build a proper tower for a beacon with the beam shooting through the roof. Although again, I'm definitely going to remove it for the download so you guys can build it for yourselves. But at least you'll have a nice spot for it. Anyway, on to 1.5. The redstone update. Now this is not my strong suit, but I'm definitely going to need to play with some automated contraptions and maybe head back into the mines. Wish me luck. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that was painful, but let me give you a tour. First up, Steve's Lava Chicken Shop. I mean, come on. Considering we're limited on resources, I think it came out pretty well. I even found a spot for the new quartz blocks in the chicken statue. Ignore the wither skulls for eyes, that'll change later. No one's actually manning it right now, but if we flip the lever, you'll see the chicken spawn with, with a bucket, gets cooked in the lava, and voila, fresh chicken. Now, it does work, but because this is old Minecraft, the lava doesn't always disappear properly. Well, it did this time, but sometimes it just sits there, meaning any new chickens spawn directly into the lava. Honestly, it feels kind of random. Out back, it's a little bit of a mess, but I've built the redstone into the mountainside and tried to cover it up as best I could. Considering I'm not exactly a redstone genius, I'm counting this as a big win. Next, an automated farming system. Perfect for our tired farm setup, as it minimizes the manual labor side of things on the trickier terrain. It's all wired up to the pathway, so you just pull this lever and... Oh, come on. Minecraft's old water physics won't let me rest. Oh, let me see if I can fix this. Okay, so I added a slab above the water source, Let's try again. I mean, it kind of worked. Annoyingly, the water just stops dead at the slab. This is actually breaking my brain. Hold up, let's give it one more try. Okay, so this time I added a dividing log through the middle. Now when the dispensers fire, the water flows perfectly, pushes all the crops into the hoppers, and into the chest. We're obviously missing a line of crops, so I'm sure you redstone experts out there will be screaming at me in the comments about how inefficient this is, but honestly, I'm just happy I finally got it working. Plus the flowing water actually looks kind of cool, almost like decorative waterfalls. The only downside is you need to flick the lever again to suck the water back in. Same deal as the weird physics in the lava chicken shop. Eventually, we'll unlock normal liquid physics and my sanity will be saved. Finally, down in the mines, I've added the new minecarts. The shelves now look like they're storing TNT, which is a fun little detail. I feel like it's easy to neglect the decorating in functional spaces like the mines, so I really like this addition. We've also got an item hopper minecart. Oh, we've got a bat buddy down here. I forgot we unlocked you in the last update. Definitely adds to the cave ambience, and you're just flying into my head all the time. And that's pretty much it for 1.5. There are more redstone additions we'll unlock later, so I'm sure we'll revisit them, as much as it pains me. It's time to load up 1.6. Hey, it's the horse update. So we can finally build some stables. This update also introduces a bunch of coloured clay, which is now known as terracotta, along with a bunch of carpets, plus name tags and leads. Let's get into it. Alrighty. For this update, I've added some of the new hardened clay to texture the walls a little bit. It's not perfect, but it's sort of a placeholder for the kind of texturing I'm planning further down the line. In fact, I'm thinking of making the house red, something bold, and also different from the wooden colour palettes we all tend to gravitate towards for our survival bases. Anyway, I finally got my hands on some name tags, so Bolt is officially Bolt, and my ocelot is named Kimiko after my real life cat. Although she's wandered off again, she's much less friendly than the real Kimmy. On the topic of animals, the main addition to this update is the horse stables. Previously, the cow pen was here, so I incorporated both into the building. Horse stables on one side, cow pen on the other. It's a simple structure. I've left it open with wooden support beams and some carpets and hay bales to decorate, along with some horses tied up with the leads we just unlocked, and their armor ready for the next big adventure. While I was building, I noticed that fence posts don't connect onto the back of stairs in this version, so I've used full blocks for now. I'll swap them out later once I can get things connected properly. Overall, a pretty solid but simple update. It's time to move on to the next one. And it's a biggie. The update that changed the world. So, Minecraft 1.7 saw lots of new blocks, flowers, fish, blah blah blah. You wanna know the thing I'm most hyped about? Shaders and world edit. I can finally use some tools to make some major changes to the world. Let's go. So here it is, our 1.7 base. I decided for the terrain, I'd keep things more on the blocky side. We're still working in an early version of the game, so it's a little limited. Plus, I wanted to make some bigger updates when we unlock more terrain-related features down the line. So I kept this more low-key. For the house itself, I kept things simple and focused on switching out the glass panes for black stained glass and incorporating the new wood types. Dark oak accents on the roof, with acacia in the platforms, rooftops, and flower beds. It's a bit clashy with the existing build, but I'll refine in later updates. Oh, and I also added a subtle wood gradient on the stable's roof, almost like sun bleaching. We've added more flowers, updating the beds around the house, and swapping out the window flowers for variety. Overall, the house upgrades are modest, but to be fair, I did just reshape an entire mountain. Speaking of which, I created a cave cutout in the mountainside. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it yet, but I figured it could be a fun space for a future upgrade. All of the farms have been relocated to the side of the new mountain, keeping the tiered farm layout, which works better on this massive terrain without making a huge flat area. The dock's got a minor upgrade to accommodate the new fish, but I'm thinking I might go a bit further down here eventually and maybe build a moat. Next, I've scaled up the nether portal. It's not the maximum 23 by 23 that we unlocked in this version, but it's still a noticeable upgrade. I framed it with some blocky stone terrain to match the mountain behind, and honestly, I think it looks pretty cool, but I reckon we can go a lot further with this later. Anyway, this was a pretty major update. It's drastically reshaped our survival base and set the stage for bigger changes. Time to boot up 1.8. So here we have the Bountiful update. Lots of new additions from survival features like the Ocean Monument, all the way to a bunch of new commands and map making features. On top of all the blocks added here, I'm also just itching to scale up the base. Let's get going. Okay, so this took way longer than expected, but the 1.8 update is finally finished. I've tried to incorporate most of the new features from this update, but the biggest change is that the house is now twice the size, which was long overdue, as the previous interiors were getting a bit cramped. The design remains true to the previous version, keeping the same palette, layout, shapes, and even the windowsill flower pots. On the exterior, we now have 2 chimney stacks, a slightly bigger elytra platform, and horse stables attached to the opposite side of the building. We've got new spruce wood doors, but I'm still waiting for the trapdoor variants, as I tend to use trapdoors a lot for detailing, so I'm kind of feeling lost without them. Inside, the interiors are fully decorated. We've got grey wool walls, which are placeholders for now while I figure out what colours I'm going to make all the rooms. But speaking of colours, we finally unlocked banners, which are one of my favourite decorative blocks for interiors. I've made a small study nook just here to maximise space, and if we head down into the basement, it now houses a combined armoury, blacksmith and crafting station, the ultimate preparation room after a long mining session. I've also moved the outdoor smelter inside now that we finally have room for it. The kitchen has expanded, featuring new sea lanterns, a fridge, a sink, stove, worktops, cupboards and a pantry. Upstairs, I've built a nice cozy living room with couches, a grandfather clock, and a fireplace. It's still not lit yet for safety. I'd actually uninstall this game if all this burned down now. Oh yeah, and the storage room has also been expanded, providing a bit more room for an organised storage system. I'll definitely want to come back to this and perhaps play with automating it later. Upstairs, the brewing station now has its own space with a large stained glass window as an accent, and I think it really gives that magical feel to the room. Above the brewing room, we've got the enchanting room. It's functional as the bookshelves are oriented to allow level 30 enchantments. It's definitely getting there, but more to come. And at the very top, I added a small study and viewing area. Maybe this could be a room that we upgrade with the spyglass. I'm envisioning a giant telescope. Sure, it won't work, but it will look insanely cool. So with some nice upgrades for 1.8, it's time for the next one, the combat update. Okay, so hopping into 1.9, this update really focused on combat changes and general tweaks to the balance in Minecraft. However, we've got brand new boats and lots of end-related additions to play with, as well as some things we could use to improve the farm, like grass paths and beetroots. So let's see what I can do. Why do I keep doing this to myself? I feel like it's taking longer and longer with each update. So, we finished our house extension. I've continued the same red and cream accents, but also incorporated some foundation stone accents. I've also got scope to expand further on either side of the house to accommodate for any future expansions. In the basement, I've made our brand new interior, the training grounds. It's got a few cool features, like the training dummy, punching bag, and a bench press, so you'll definitely be able to get those extra gains. Stay extra hydrated at the water fountain. Need to quickly grab a weapon to defend your base? Well, this weapon rack should do the trick. Need something long range? Well, head on over to the archery room to practice your aim. It even comes fitted with this fantastic mural. It really makes you feel like you're hunting in the wilderness. We did add some armor stands into our blacksmith, but with all of the extra room we've made, I thought why not make a dedicated armory so you can be really decked out before heading out on your adventures. I've also fiddled with the end room a little bit, relocating and reorganizing it. You've now got a nice spot to display your elytra or ender pearls, dragon head and egg, and it even connects seamlessly to the elytra platform, so you can take a trip down memory lane before flying off with your elytra. We've made some great progress, and now it's time for 1.10. welcome to the Frostburn update. There really wasn't much added to this version of the game, so maybe now would be a good time to revisit the terrain for future expansions. Okay, it's montage time. Okay, we've upgraded the terrain, smoothed out the surrounding landscape because it was looking a little messy, and I thought 2 rock faces are better than 1, so I mirrored it over to the other side. I made some tweaks so it isn't an exact replica, but we'll continue to make further adjustments in the coming updates. As well as mirroring the terrain, I did the same thing for the house. Not only do we have 2 times the space for our interiors, but I've also connected them together with a bridge so each side is easily accessible. The only thing is this middle section is now looking kinda empty, so I think we might need to connect the buildings together in some way. Also, I can't wait to retexture this building because this brick texture is warping like crazy. It's not so bad up close, but as soon as you pull back, it looks ridiculous. Obviously, we still have to reintroduce our nether portal, farms, mines, docks, etc. But we'll gradually do that from here on, as we now have a nice foundation, and I don't think this terrain will change too drastically from this point onwards. Let's move on to 1.11. Okay, we've made it to the exploration update. Observers are now a thing, so we can definitely make use of these and finally upgrade our farming system. Shulker boxes can now be crafted, and we'll definitely be adding these to our end room. Okay, well, hang on, I might as well actually just do that now. Yep, all done. Anyway, let's see what else I can come up with. Phew, that was a big one. So because this is the exploration update, I wanted to dedicate a space to all things adventure and exploration. So I connected up the 2 separate houses with this centre building, as there wasn't a nice big entryway previously. The map table was looking a bit neglected, so I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to tackle it, especially with all the terrain updates that we made in the previous version of the game. Nothing screams exploration more than a globe and an armillary sphere. We unlocked the observer, and not only did I want to use it in a functional way, which we'll get to in a bit, but I also wanted to use it for decorative purposes, and they work perfectly as a face for these warrior statues. The second level leads to a trophy room. I wanted to create an area for you to display the heads of your slain enemies. Also, there's a staircase that leads to a loft space, with plenty of room to expand and decorate here. Perhaps when the spyglass gets introduced, we can incorporate that as that screams adventure. As for outside, I whipped up this sundial so you can quickly see what time of day it is based on the shadow being cast from the sun. Obviously, you could just look to the sky to see where the sun is at, but I'd rather not burn my eyeballs out. Okay, moving around to the back of the house. Yeah, we ended up getting a bit carried away with this update. I extended the terrain further down to create some plateaus for our farm, since I wanted to make some functional improvements using the observer block. Not only have I extended the automatic waterfall farm system we had going for us before, which works perfectly fine by the way, it definitely collects all of the crops. Okay, it might need some work, but I'll leave that to you guys. But with the observer, I was able to make an automatic sugarcane farm. Obviously, I could have gone further and made automatic farms for all of the crops, but I wanted to leave something for you guys to do. Also, we've had 2 new animal additions to the game. Rabbits, which were actually added in version 1.8, but I thought I'd wait to include them at the same time as our second new animal, the ever so annoying llama. We were long overdue an upgrade on our animal pens, so I saw this as the perfect opportunity to develop a dedicated area for them. The first plateau houses our cows. I'm not really sure why they're all crammed into the corner here, but we'll just ignore that. Which now have this cute barn to rest in. Chickens and sheep have claimed the second plateau, and this is also the new home to Steve's Lava Chicken Shop. So he's got direct access to fresh produce, and the chickens are well aware of their impending doom at all times. I feel kind of bad, but they love it here. Pigs and llama have their own cozy corners on the 3rd plateau, and the 4th plateau is dedicated to our fluffy rabbit friends. Okay, that was a much bigger upgrade than I originally planned on doing, but one that was totally worth it. It's time to tackle 1.12. We're now in the world of colour update, meaning we can finally start painting. And this house is definitely due a fresh lick of paint. There are also a million new bed varieties now, so we can definitely revisit the bedroom. Let's get painting. Okay, I think that will just about do it. So I've reworked the texturing of the base quite a bit, swapping out some of the terracotta and brick for deeper reds. And the beige has gone to a more salmony red, as it was just standing out a little too much with the more vibrant reds. This is as much red variation that's actually available to us at the moment, until we unlock crimson or mangrove wood. Also, this roof has got to go. It's a little too warm for my liking and is clashing with the red walls of the house. Unfortunately, we're still a bit limited with block choice, so for now, we're kind of stuck with it. I also wanted to give some of our rooms a little paint job to match the vibe of the room a bit more, rather than just plain grey walls. With all of the new coloured beds unlocked, we finally upgraded the bedroom. It's definitely feeling a lot more cosy in here, and it'll be a nice place to come back to after a long day of exploring. Oh yeah, I also made this little bird cage for Percy. I'm not really sure why he's spinning so much. Percy, are you okay? He's just having a little party. The rest of this room is still due a big upgrade though, so we'll definitely be coming back here to tackle this soon. I think it's time we venture into uncharted waters with the aquatic update. Diving into 1.13. See what I did there? Anyway. Ocean's got a pretty major update, meaning we've unlocked a whole bunch of underwater decorations which may not seem useful, but I have a great idea for them. Oh yeah, also, it's a bit weird that they were added in this update, but we have new trapdoors. I've been waiting for this day to come for what feels like forever. I am sick of only using regular oak trapdoors. Oh yeah, stripped wood was also added in this update. But who cares about that? We have these bad boys. Also, turtles. Okay, enough distractions. Let's do this. Alright, what did we manage to upgrade? For starters, I found myself wanting to make a standout feature for our pet room, and it felt like the perfect time to build an aquarium with all of the new underwater blocks we've unlocked. As for the rest of the room, well, I gave the walls a quick lick of paint to match the general vibe of the room, but apart from that, there's still a lot of work to do, which I figured we could tackle in the next update, as I'm still waiting to unlock a few furry friends. The most important upgrade of them all was changing out those horrible oak trapdoors for some new variants. I've incorporated plenty of spruce doors across the whole house. Dark oak trapdoors are now used to completely border our picture frames, and I've even used some of the jungle trapdoors to match some of the jungle rooftops across the exterior of the building. We also unlocked stripped wood, which I have started to use in the pet room, but we'll be able to use it even further by incorporating it with other blocks in the next update. Of course, I had to quickly decorate the lake surrounding the house as well, so things are a little more lively down here now. With all that done, it's time to tackle the village and pillage update. We finally made it to 1.14, and this update is a biggie. First off, villager trading has had a complete overhaul with their different professions. Meaning, we've also unlocked a bunch of profession blocks that we can use for decorative purposes too. Speaking of decorative additions, a whole bunch of slabs, stairs and walls have been unlocked, and we finally have other varieties of signs. Lanterns are now a thing, scaffolding, banner patterns, foxes, cats, and even new textures. There's honestly so much, so why don't we just get into it? Okay, I think we've made it through to the other side. That wasn't so bad. First and foremost, I've upgraded the supporting pillars for the large balcony above the entrance and redesigned all of the window frames with the polished andesite slabs I just unlocked. Additionally, I've also made some tweaks to the large window at the front and back of the building using the new andesite walls. And for the final exterior edits, I've made some adjustments to the flower beds, which now include some of the new flowers and sweet berry bushes. Heading into the grand entrance, the supporting pillars match the ones from the outside. I've also made some final edits to the globe and our Armillary Sphere statue, incorporating lecterns and some of those new wall and sign variants to get a more compact yet detailed shape. Lanterns are now a thing, so I've gone round the entire house, swapping old torches out one by one. And welcome to the first new interior of the house, a much larger and efficient storage room. I say more efficient, even though I'm using predominantly barrels, especially considering chests can hold double the space, but mostly because this one comes with its very own automatic sorting system. Now it's not much, I know, but don't ask me to make anything more complex than this because I've had out to here with redstone today, and this was hard enough for me, okay? It's designed so that after you've been out mining all day, you can come back and dump your inventory here, and it will refine all of the valuables you've collected on your adventures into these barrels. And everything else will be sent into this chest here. I've done this system for the main resources you'd be collecting, but there's plenty of scope to expand it further, which I'll leave for you to figure out. This is meant to be a playable base after all. I've also found myself back in the pet room after unlocking cats. Now Bolt has a proper kennel with a decorative bone on top. Percy has a much larger cage and a few new friends. Say hello to Penny, Paul, and Rizzler. And finally, Kimiko has magically transformed from an ocelot into a cat. It definitely has nothing to do with the fact that the ocelot Kimiko kept running away and I actually have no idea where she wandered off to. The cat tree is expanded up and across the walls quite a bit. I was even being hygienic by placing her litter tray off to the other side of the room. Our in-house villager was long overdue an upgrade, and the whole update is named after it. I've created an entire underground black market. Don't worry, there's not actually any dodgy dealings here. Things are very above board. Each stall is dedicated to every individual profession villager and is even adorned with a custom banner to match, which was another thing unlocked in this update. They're all very excited to see me. I don't know why they're all jumping up and down continuously. It's definitely nothing to do with the fact that they're stuck in these stalls and can never leave. I might have to remove some of these so you can populate the market for yourselves. I then continue to decorate with all these new profession blocks throughout the house, adding smokers to the kitchen and giving it a general update, a loom and dyeing station to the armory due to some of the new dye additions. I relocated and expanded the enchanting room to include a lectern in case you want to do some light reading, added some decorative bamboo near the docks, and so much more. I feel like I can't even show you all of the update because there were so many new decorative blocks added in 1.14. Oh, wait, campfires. Okay, I have to mention these because after many updates, I finally have a working fireplace that doesn't burn the house down. Anyway, that was a bit intense. Let's just chill out with a nice little upgrade with the Buzzy Bees update. Okay, thankfully, 1.15 is quite a small update. I mean, they added bees. Yeah, that's kind of it. So, let's build. Well, that was a nice quick update. Considering this update is all about bees, I wanted to create a cute little bee sanctuary on the final plateau with the other farm animals. I made 2 rows of custom beehives, with a large vat of the collected honey at the end of the pathway, and decorated the surrounding area with custom trees, shrubs and flowers. Now I think it's time we move on to a more serious update. Perhaps Steve's favourite update.
The Nether.
Now that we've made it to 1.16, we can finally tackle something that I've been neglecting for a long time. The Nether portal. We've now obviously unlocked a bunch of new Nether related decorative blocks, and we finally have access to chains, which will come in super handy. So, let's build ourselves a portal. Now that's what I call a portal. I've been waiting to incorporate the Nether portal into the build for what feels like forever, and this was the perfect opportunity. It sits directly in the middle of the base, and thankfully, because the base is so big, you won't be constantly annoyed by these sounds while you're trying to sleep. Unlocking Blackstone was nice as it's the first darker stone we've had access to, so I created this ornate detailing that surrounds the portal rather nicely. We finally unlocked chains, so I was able to further detail our giant glass windows, and also replaced all of the placeholder iron bars used in our chandeliers. I added targets to the archery training ground, so you can finally practice refining your archery accuracy during your training sessions. And I didn't want to randomly incorporate all of the new nether blocks we unlocked across the whole base. So I thought now would be a great time to create a dedicated nether room to display any collectibles from your underworld travels. And it connects directly onto our end room, so they pair together quite nicely. And lastly, we unlocked a new music disc. So I wanted to tackle another neglected build from way back when, our jukebox, and finally create a dedicated music room. It's complete with our newly upgraded jukebox, piano, guitars, and even drum set. The base is really starting to come together, but it's time to tackle what will arguably be the biggest update of them all. It's time to take on the Caves and Cliffs update. Welcome to 1.17. Well, we're technically in 1.18 now, because I thought there was no real reason to separate these updates, as 1.18 quite literally adds a music disc. And that's it. Well, that's not completely it. It did introduce the new maximum build height and terrain generation, but these updates kind of go hand in hand. So we're just going to do them together in one hit. Also, this is the last time you're going to see this world, because it's going in the bin. Not the entire build, no. But I am going to have to relocate it to a new world because, well, there aren't any more chunks. Yeah, the world generation seems to have given up somewhere along the line, so I'm going to have to extract our base and find a brand new 1.18 world to plonk it into. There's a ton to do in these Caves and Cliffs updates, so let's get building. So, I was planning on trying not to overdo things. Yeah, that didn't go to plan. The first thing I did for this update was extract the house from our previous world and plonked it down in a new one to address all of the weird chunk issues we were having. Obviously, the Caves and Cliffs update gave us increased build height, so the first thing I did was spend several days creating an entire mountain range, completely populated with custom trees, caves, and ores. If you wanted to build an evil underground fortress when you play for yourselves, then these custom dripstone caves could do the job perfectly. If you were thinking along the lines of cozy underground sanctuary, then perhaps you'd want to choose the new lush caves instead. While making all these caves, it reminded me that we still had a small mushroom island out the front of the base, so this seemed like the perfect opportunity to make a new custom cave variant, the Mycelium Caves. Remember how our old mine system connected onto an abandoned mineshaft? Well, seeing as I tackled all of the other caves and transformed those, I wanted to revisit the mineshaft and create a custom one. This cave is littered with goodies to mine. But of course, this mineshaft was abandoned for a reason. It's pretty dangerous down here. As you can tell, I really wanted to do this properly and give you guys something fun to explore when you play the map for yourselves. Yeah, I could have plonked the build down in a new world and left it at that, but most of this update focuses on environmental changes, so it only felt fitting that I transformed the environment. Having said that, I did want to tie these upgrades all together with the base itself, so I built these huge bridges extending from the base into the surrounding mountains for easy access. Oh yeah, don't worry, I stayed true to the original mineshaft we made all the way back in beta, so you can actually access the mines directly below the base. I even recreated the original little crafting / smelting area so you can prepare before your caving adventures. I may have accidentally blown this whole area up while building because I placed some decorative TNT down. But hey, I fixed it. Just try not to recreate that little mishap when you're down here in survival. As for the actual base itself, we finally unlocked deep slate blocks, so I retextured the rooftops and things are looking a lot better. Another new addition to the very tippy top of the base is our giant spyglass observatory. It's not functional unfortunately, but hey, it's a cool decoration and the perfect lookout area. But of course, we can go even higher. This final platform at the highest peak of the base is to house the beacon. Well, there won't actually be a beacon here when you download the world, but I've made the perfect spot to place yours. And of course, this update introduced copper, and while copper may be more useful now in the latest version of the game, it wasn't back in 1.17. But with it, we also unlocked the lightning rod, so I thought, why not whip up a fancy one to keep the base nice and safe? Inside, with a few other 1.17 and 1.18 unlocks at my disposal, I added an axolotl and a glow squid to our aquarium, and decorated the chandeliers and the rest of the house with candles. And finally, we unlocked goats, so I added them to the farm and made a nice little penned off area for them on the final plateau. I'm not sure these walls are going to be tall enough to contain them though, because apparently goats can jump up to 10 blocks. So if you see any goats randomly strolling around the base, they're escapees of our little goat pen here. This was easily our biggest update yet, but there's lots left to do, so let's move along to the wild update. Well, we've made it to 1.19, and with it comes mangrove wood, meaning we can finally finish off this colour palette for the base. Deep dark caves were added, meaning we can slot in another cave variant, frogs, and some new boats, which I do plan on including, but I'm going to wait until the next update to really make use of them. Okay, let's crack on. Well, that was a much more reasonable update compared to the last. We finished painting the exterior of the base. I've been waiting to unlock mangrove wood since we made the decision to paint the whole thing red back in version 1.12, so it feels pretty satisfying scratching that incomplete itch. I also swapped out most of the remaining spruce and dark oak elements around the windows and the balconies, and I also darkened the wood of the stables, because it was standing out a bit too much with all of that spruce. I wish Minecraft had dark grey trapdoors so we could completely black out the window frames, but it is what it is. Inside, I kind of found myself back in the pet room because I wanted to make an extra extension to the aquarium and convert it to make the top half into a terrarium for some frogs. I also noticed our cute little axolotl buddy kept eating our fish. Yep, every time I came back here, there weren't any left. So I thought it best to relocate them to a new home next door to avoid the axolotl transforming them into sushi. The final feature I added was some custom deep dark caves now that we unlocked the warden and some sculk blocks. To be honest, things initially were looking kinda boring in here, so I added these sculk tentacles throughout the caves, almost as if the sculk was alive. God, I forgot how spooky it is and I've got night vision on. I may or may not be rewatching Stranger Things at the moment. It's kinda giving the same vibe. Hang on, let me turn the lights off. Okay, yeah, this is a fair bit creepier. Thank God we've got the oars glowing around us because it'd be pretty dark in here otherwise. Oh my. I forgot how scary this game is. Why is it not missing any light? Hello? Ah! No! Stay away from me. Oh my god. That actually jump scared me. Okay. Let's move on to the penultimate update. It's time for some trails and tales. So now that we're in 1.20, I think it's time we upgrade the docks. I've neglected them for far too long. Hang on a minute, why are the boats sunk into the water? I was hoping to get in them, but I can't. What's happened here? This is so weird. This is also technically the archaeology update. Okay, I mean, not really. They added some pots, gravel, and sand to the game. We're basically Indiana Jones now. Trails and Tales also introduces armor trims, so we can definitely do something with that. And 2 new wood variants, bamboo and cherry. Yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to fit so nicely with our current aesthetic, at least not on the outside. So I'll see what I can do. Let's get building. You know what? I think that'll just about do it. So while we unlocked a fair amount of new blocks and features, we've not actually made any external upgrades to the house. We did, however, upgrade the docks. This section of the base was long overdue an upgrade, and with the addition of all of the new boat variants we unlocked in this and the previous update, I thought it was about time. So I reformatted the whole boardwalk layout, and even whipped up this fancy lamppost design out of the newly unlocked hanging signs, so you can easily come down here and fish at night. The fishing hut had a complete makeover to match the design of the main house, and I think this ties the two together nicely. I did my best to retain the general shape of the original fishing hut though, so it really feels like a true upgrade. It still has the same fish sign up top, you know, in case you somehow forget, and a winch system for hauling in the big catches. We've even washed and hung up our dirty laundry out back. This was a towels only load, so you're going to have to turn your iron leggings inside out for now. Inside, we've got a cozy fireplace and a wall-mounted piglin hunting trophy. The kitchen is tucked around the corner here, and I've even hung up a life preserver on the wall here, just in case. And we've even got enough room for a nice balcony bedroom upstairs. Heading back up to the main base, because we unlocked the cherry blossom tree along with all of its wood variants, I thought this would be the perfect time to make a cutesy bedroom. Look, you can do your makeup over here, choose your outfit from the wardrobe. It's got everything you really need and want in a survival base. Now, you may have noticed the elephant in the room. Okay, well, not an elephant, a sniffer. Look, the idea was to place him down in his laying position so he looks like a cute giant stuffed animal. But it turns out you can't do that with commands in Java, only Bedrock. So he's just going to stand here frozen still instead. Don't worry though, he loves it here. He's having a great time, aren't you, buddy? Archaeology was introduced in this update, meaning you can use a brush to excavate suspicious blocks for items or pottery sherds. So I thought it'd be really cool to build a quarry into the mountain, literally through the basement of the house. Okay, yeah, I didn't really think this one through. Nah, I'm sure the structural integrity of the house is fine. Luckily, we can break the rules of physics in Minecraft. That's half the fun. I was quite surprised at how nicely this turned out. And you can take this staircase down to the mine shaft, so it connects together nicely. The brush can also be used for armadillos on dog armor. So back in our training room, I built out a nice space in the corner for a wolf armor crafting station. Also, we've got Cerberus 1, 2, and 3. Unfortunately, I can't make a 3-headed dog in Minecraft, but 3 is better than 1. Quite a bit was added in 1.20 because we also unlocked armor trims. So I carved out another space for an armor trim crafting station in the armory. And lastly, we unlocked chiseled bookshelves in this update. So I wanted to make a proper library. Obviously, we still have our original enchanting room with some bookshelves, but you'd hardly call that a library. Whereas this is a library. Okay, with all that done, it's time to move on to the final upgrade. So let's update things one more time to Minecraft 1.21. Before we do update to the final version of the game, I wanted to let you guys know that you can download the Ultimate Survival Base via my Patreon now, where I'll also be releasing snapshots of the USW2 and more in the coming months. Also, I'm going to be joining the Minecraft Marketplace soon, so you'll be able to download all of your favourite TrixyBlox creations there. Okay, enough of that. Bring on 1.21. We finally made it to the Tricky Trials update. Well, actually, because of all the game drops Mojang do, trial chambers are kind of old news now. And there is so much that's been added through the different versions of 1.21. We've unlocked a bunch of new paintings, happy ghasts are now a thing, so we definitely have to make an upgrade for that. And the latest Copper Age game drop means we have access to copper golems, and more importantly, shelves. This is the first time I'm getting to build with these, so I'm super excited to use them to further decorate around the base. And so for the final time, let's get building. The final block has been placed, and with it, we have upgraded this house through every single update in the game. But what changes have we made with all of our new unlocks? Well, first and foremost, I carved out some space in the framework of our big nether portal for a happy gas station. And this ended up being more fiddly than I anticipated, but we got there in the end. So, as you may know, when you exit your flying creature balloon vehicle, it has a habit of flying away. Now, you can stop this by tying him down to a fence post with a lead, but I thought that might not be the most aesthetically pleasing method. So instead, I tinkered and whipped up this mechanism. All you've got to do is park up your ghast, flick this lever, and pistons extend to keep him in place. Simple, but effective. Also, there's this platform beneath, which, if you've attached a storage chest boat below your happy ghast, will unload into this chest. Meaning, you can go out adventuring with your ghast buddy, fill up the chest boat, fly back home and dock up, and it will simply unload itself. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves and check out this interior, I finished off the exterior of the base with these large, hanging banners adorned with the Crimson Keep crest. This was the start of my shelf building addiction, and there's plenty more to come, don't you worry. As for the gas station interior, I was going for a factory/docking station kind of vibe, keeping it somewhat industrial. I added a bunch of machines to run simulations to make sure it was the perfect day for a safe fly, a conveyor belt system pumping out new parts for flying equipment, and a maintenance pathway for our workaholic copper golem friends. I revisited the Great Hall so I could swap out some of the old paintings for the new ones, and made this pretty cool chandelier design with a frozen copper golem. 1.21 also introduced the Garden Awakens, so I made sure to not only include some pale wood decorations in the gas station, but also whipped up this cute pumpkin patch made of resin blocks to scatter around the landscape. But I'm still not done. We unlocked a bunch of stuff in this update, but none of it compares to the ever so versatile shelf. And these are just some of the ways I worked them into the build across the base. You can use shelves to make red iron girders like I've done here on the entrance platform to the gas station. They're great for detailing machines with small informational dials by placing custom banners in them. And bonus points for placing the banners on shields to remove that little stick from the icon. They're also ideal for detailing pillars. They make a perfect set of window shutters, flower pots, new chair designs, storage areas, and by placing an assortment of different blocks or items in them, you can make some intricately detailed architraving. And that's just scratching the surface. Look, I could keep going and adding more and more stuff to this place, but I want you guys to have some fun playing in it. This was a much harder challenge than I originally thought, and severely underestimated how many updates have been added to the game since I did this last time. But I'd say the result was definitely worth it. So you may be thinking, what's the point in playing in a survival base that already has everything you need? Well, it doesn't. There are still some rooms that I've left without a specific function, so you can repurpose them how you wish, and lots of the more powerful blocks, weapons, and armor will be left out of the download, so you'll have to adventure for them yourselves and add them to the base as you see fit. And with that, let's do one final tour of the base. Thanks again to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Download free via the description links and collect your bonus pack on PC and console if you're new or inactive in the last 6 months. Thanks for watching, guys. Check my description links for all my worlds, asset packs, and more, and I'll see you back in the Ultimate Survivor world.